You're listening to Best Forevers, a podcast for kindred spirits. I'm Alysa Lucas, and I don't know what I did to receive these jeans. No, I don't mean the jeans you wear, like the ones I got when I was in middle school. If you're a 90s kid, you know what was up with your bow jeans. But jeans as in the unit of heredity passed on by my mother to look so young. Isn't there like a Harry Potter spell? Not a spell, a potion. We'll figure it out later. But I get that a lot. How old are you? You're 40? I thought you were like 25. Folks, I seriously got carded at the Danny McBride movie, This Is the End, 5 years ago. The cashier did not think I was old enough to see an R-rated film, and I was 35. There's obviously advantages and disadvantages to not looking my age, but maybe a benefit is being able to be friends with people who are of different ages than I am. It's time to kick off the companion episode to episode 32, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, where I interviewed my older, wiser, and more efficient friend, Bia. We chatted about our friendship, her experience of friendship growing up, and the role of age in friendship. So now I'm here with my younger, wiser, and more magical friend, Ashleigh, so we can continue the discussion. So I have Ashleigh here. Hi, Ashleigh.
Hey.
And we also have her dear pup, Piper, in the background. So if you can hear it, it sounds like we're torturing a dog. We are not.
She just really wants to be a part of this.
She does. Like, she's all about the podcasting.
Seriously.
Seriously.
She was like on your lap, like trying to record with
like
us.
Up in my pop filter and on the she was licking my laptop. Like, there was delicious treats on it. So if you do hear some pup love, that is Piper. And as I always say, we all could use a little pup love. So
it's true.
It's true. So Ashleigh, you're here because you are my, as I said, younger, wiser, more magical friend.
Did you say magical because of Harry Potter?
I sure did.
I knew it. Oh, it's amazing.
Yes. So as you might imagine, folks, Ashleigh likes Harry Potter, which leads us into, I know some things about my friend Ashleigh. Does she know things about me? We should turn this into a game show.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I should have come in here with questions. What's my favorite color? Well, if you know, I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yellow.
Yep. Yeah, you got it. Hey. So do you remember when we became friends?
So this is so funny because I feel like we had this conversation and like neither of us could definitively remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like we thought about it and I know that I was like, I don't remember the exact moment. It just like all of a sudden we were just like best friends.
Like homies for life.
We were like in group texts,
mm-hmm.
group Facebook messages, group Snapchats. We were planning a yard sale together. Just like, it just all happened so quickly. I do remember some of the first things that we did together that like come to mind were when we all got together and helped build our friend Sarah's patio furniture gazebo.
Can I interrupt you and say where we all got together? Where I came and watched you and her other friend, was it Anne?
Yes.
Yeah, put that together because I feel like I was just...
Wasn't Crystal there? I can't remember.
No, Crystal wasn't there, but I feel like I was just spotting everyone.
Oh, that's right, because we were the A team, though. It was Anne, Ashleigh, and Alysa.
And then Sarah.
And Sarah.
Well, no, I actually remember the first time I met you.
When was that?
Sarah had us over for game night.
Oh, yeah.
And you had really long hair.
Yes, I did. It was before I donated it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I remember the first time we met. It was Sarah had people over for game night. I don't remember everyone who was there, but I remember we played What's That Meme?
Oh, yeah. What do you meme?
Yeah, what do you
meme? I have that game now because of that game night. It was so much fun.
But I remember you had really long hair, and I feel like it was like in a bun.
Yes.
And you had to leave you were going to do a family event or something like that.
Yes.
But I just remember your laugh. And I remember She was afraid to laugh there. And then I remember, like, you just have a really, like, welcoming smile. So, like, I remember, and then we just had a lot of fun playing that game. It was hilarious. But then this is the embarrassing part because I don't think I've admitted this to you.
Oh, gosh.
But I went to a women's basketball game a little just recently after that. And
I saw you there.
And you came up and said hi, and I couldn't remember what your name was. I was like, and I texted Sarah, I was like, what is your friend's name who was at game night? Because I didn't want to be like rude, but I was like, and it was out of context too, because I'd only met you like that one time. And so it was, I was like, I don't know what to do. So yeah, I sneaked a text to Sarah.
That's so funny. I do remember that encounter, like specifically, because I remembered your name, but it was also kind of like, we were friends through Sarah initially. Yeah. And so it was like, are we friends yet? Like, can I say hi? Is she going to think I'm weird?
Well, at first, did I look like I didn't know who you were? Because I was trying like, I know you, but do I know you? And the other thing is like, because you are younger than I am. Like, I know that I knew you and I had remember you from Sarah's, but also at the same time, there's always this panic as a professor when someone comes up to you and says hi, and you're like, oh my God, they're a student in my class and I don't remember what their name was. Maybe it's the large lecturer and and
I can totally empathize with that because I used to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll see people and I'll think, you were either one of my students or we went to high school together. And I just can't remember which one it is.
You're somehow related to Central Michigan. But yeah, so I felt like really bad about, but I do think that it is through Sarah that we first met. And then the four of us, you, me, Sarah, and Crystal, who people who follow the podcast will be familiar with the Golden Girls photo where we all have the thank you for being the friend mugs. And then also from PotterCon, which we did last year. And we've only been friends for it'll be 2 years, I think, in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a short amount of time. And at what point, I guess, did you know that I was older than you? Did you realize?
Don't you remember? It was like not that long ago because...
Well, I think it's when you turned. It was your birthday.
It was like last summer, I want to say, because I was about to turn 30.
Yeah.
And so I had made my 30 before 30 bucket list.
Yes.
And so I was chipping away at those things. And I remember that you were telling me at that point that you were inspired to do one before turning 40. Maybe not a 40 before 40, but you were coming up with like a bucket list before you turned 40. And I was like, wait, what?
You're like, how many years is that gonna bucket list?
I was like, oh, you have time. You could do 40. And you were like, no, my birthday's, only a few months away. And I was like, wait, what? How old are you? I was like, wait, you're 39? I was in disbelief. I was like, Sarah, confirm. And then I followed up with, what is your skincare regimen?
Oh, yes.
And you told me it was not wearing makeup or
something. I
don't
wear makeup. Yeah. I wear like a base if listeners are interested. But one of the things, my mom, Nancy, hi Nancy, she loves makeup. And one of the things that she always taught me was to always wash all your makeup off and always wash your face. And so,
yes.
But I got those genes from my mom. I don't know where she got them from. If grandma was like that.
I got it from my mama.
I got it from my mama. But that's the thing. Like, I would always just say she had good genes in terms of she looks really young. And then, she's taking really good care of her skin. And I really don't. And I'm very indoorsy. So the only time I get sun is when my arm is in the window when I'm trying. And that's one of the other things I think about. Like, sometimes I'm like, maybe because I look younger, I can be friends with a lot of people because, people might see me as similar in some way, but really it might be my personality. And sometimes I joke that because I'm not married and I don't have kids, that maybe my growth was stunted. And so really I'm just like perpetually like 27 years old for the rest of my life. I'm a kid at heart.
Well, it does get more difficult. I mean, I'm 30 and I'm starting to go through that too. It's hard when, I mean, of course, all my friends who are married and have kids don't like just ice me out, but it's hard. Their lives are more complicated and it just is, friendships change just like life changes. So makes it harder.
It's true. And that's why one of the reasons I would say that thinking about age, that age probably shouldn't matter, right? Because if you have something in common, right? So one of the things that we do have in common is that we are both single. And so, hey.
I'm flashing the no ring on my finger, but the viewers can't see it. The listeners cannot see it.
Oh, the single ladies. We're doing the little Beyonce dance. Well, and the thing is, like, we have other things in common. Like, when you think about in the short amount of time that we've been friends and having friends in common, but I think we all have, like, similar senses of humor. I think we all work in the same university, so there's that connection. You and I both love women's basketball, and you've been gracious to let me come sit with your family and the season ticket holders, and those games are always a blast.
That's what's actually super funny about the, like, shortly after we first met, having that basketball season encounter. That was kind of weird, because literally think of, like, how one basketball season later, we were, like, going to all the games together, which, by the way, listeners, anytime Alysa comes with you to the basketball game, you are for sure getting on the dance cam, like, for 5 minutes, literally. Like, they just never stopped looking at us.
I think the camera person has a crush on me, I swear to God.
I think so, too, because I tell you
what.
One
of my students who was like, that's my teacher, put her on the cam. Get her on the cam. One of my favorite pictures of us, though, is from the cameras at the game, like, because the games were aired on ESPN3, and there's a picture of me, like, dancing, and you have a towel over your head, and you're dancing too, and it's hilarious. And so I'll definitely post that one. But I would like to point out, though, that we met at that one season. A year later, they were MAC champs. They went to the Sweet 16 right?
Yeah. They were outright MAC champs. Like, they won the tournament and the season.
Yes. And so can our friendship be the reason why Team 50 did so well?
I mean,
it can't hurt.
There is a correlation, if I had to say so myself.
Certainly not causation. But and those of you who are interested in Team 50, I did an interview with Coach Guevara. It was called All In, and she's so great, and I love it. So you have to check that out. But I think it is really interesting that we do have these things in common, and then we both like Psych, the TV show.
I was going to say, we have so many, I feel like, TV shows in
Big
common.
Big Brother?
I mean,
oh my gosh.
Which is starting this week,
I know.
by the way, tomorrow.
Can we...
Isn't it tomorrow?
No, I think it's next week, but let's verify, because we need to start making our... Sorry, folks. We're making our Big Brother dates while we podcast.
It's a critical component of our friendship.
We would text all the time. And so, like, let's take our friendship to the next level and have watch parties. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not... I mean, it's on 3 times a week.
Right. So we probably can't do, like, Psych the movie watch party level every time.
Yeah. Oh, and that Psych party...
Was legit.
Like... USA sent me a bunch of stuff that we could use to make cookies and, like, glasses and stuff like that.
You're going to have to show pictures from that. That was fun.
Yeah, no, it was super awesome. Yeah, I'll do that.
And then we did PotterCon, because obviously Harry Potter.
And you're Gryffindor and I'm Hufflepuff. Now, and we talked about Golden Girls. What Golden Girl would you say that you are, Ashleigh?
It's Rose. For a minute, I thought it was Blanche, because I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
To which then Alysa said, maybe you're Blose. Which doesn't sound right.
It's a celebrity name. You just smash them together.
Yeah. No, it's Rose. It's Rose for sure.
Yeah. Or you could be Ranch.
Oh. I mean, it is the best dressing in the whole world.
That's true.
It goes on everything.
That's literally accurate.
Everything. What Golden Girl are you?
I am a combination of Dorothy and Rose. So I could be Rorthy or Doze.
Rothy.
Rorthy. Yeah, no, I feel like
what if you were Rosey? No.
No,
we'll go with Doze.
Doze. What up, Doze? Okay, we're
Doze and Blose.
Doze and Blose. Can that be the name of this episode?
Yes.
Okay, we're getting a little slap happy. But I feel like Golden Girls is a large part of the friendship of you and I, but also with Crystal and Sarah, like the group of four.
Well, we even call ourselves that.
Yeah, for sure. We got to keep it golden. But I would say that I think it's a large part, and I like that it's a large part because it really like sort of, I mean, that show highlights friendship. I think it's a great show. It's still a classic. If you haven't watched it, you need to get on Hulu and watch. They have all the episodes. Mm-hmm. But I think that I'm Rose and Dorothy because I believe in like the kindness aspect and there is some level of being naive. I think that fits Rose, but I'm super snarky. And that is clearly Dorothy. So, and I mean, some people might even say Sophia, but I have a certain snark level that I would say.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see that side of you too much.
Well, it's not like mean snarky, but it is like
sassy.
Oh yeah, sassy. So that's what I would say is our friendship has been based on. But I think we've discovered over the year and a half that we have a lot of similarities. And it, like you said, it was like all of a sudden we were just in all these groups and doing things. And it's just like, all of a sudden, like, where did you come from? Were you always just here? And I didn't know it. But I also think it says that in the year and a half that we've built a really strong friendship that I can't imagine not being friends with you now. Like that, it's crazy, like how quickly it can happen, even though you didn't realize I was 40 until a couple months ago.
Which wouldn't have mattered to me anyway. Like it literally wouldn't have. But it's just, that still just like blows my mind sometimes. So I'm like, what?
My growth was stunted, just as a reminder. But, I'm interested because then technically we are in different generations, right? And so
I suppose so.
Last time I talked to Bia, who's 14 years older than me, and you're 10 years younger than me. And so I was wondering, I think it is interesting to think about different generations of people growing up in terms of friendship. So what would you say that you learned about friendship growing up? Was it something that was encouraged? Who were your first friends? How did your parents talk to you about friendship? Do you have any comments on what friendship meant to you growing up or how it was communicated to you?
I'm trying to think. I mean, of course, we were always encouraged to make new friends at school and everything like that. And I feel like, and it's actually funny because part of me has always been sort of like I have groups of close friends in every like part of my life that I've endured. So I have my close friends from growing up and my close friends from college and my close friends from grad school and my close friends from CMU and just every part of life. It just kind of keeps growing. But I do feel like I always like value those relationships and try and keep them going even after that time period has sort of ended. And some of the first friends that I made are still some of my very best friends to this day. In fact, I was just texting with one of my best childhood friends, Laura, yesterday. In fact, and actually today is our 12-year Facebook anniversary. But we were joking that I woke up this morning and she had posted it and said 12 years on Facebook, but 25 years in real life because we've been friends since we were 5.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to remember a time when I didn't have friends.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a like,
I always had friends.
I've always had friends. But here's the other thing too, is that my family is always like, we're super close.
Yeah.
The year that I was born, all of my mom's siblings had kids. So
That's
there's,
awesome.
Yeah. So there's,
is there something in the water? Was there like a plan of action?
Don't know. Don't ask those questions. But with that said, so there's 5 of us cousins who are all the same age, and we were always all very close growing up. So, I mean, a couple of my cousins never lived in Mount Pleasant, but most of us did. And so we were always like going to birthday parties together and holidays. And as we've all gotten older and then other cousins have been thrown in the mix, we're all relatively close in age. Yeah. So I always tell people that my cousins are more like siblings because that's just the dynamic that we've had. So I feel like my family has also been some of my closest friends, if you will.
Yeah. It reminds me of the episode I did with my brother called Siblingships.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that one.
Yeah. And so, thanks for listening.
You're welcome.
But this idea that these relationships can blend. And so it might be the case that your cousins were some of your first friends, right? And so if it's been encouraged, I actually like this idea that you talk about, and it really speaks to me when you say that you have friends from every realm of life, and that even when it's past, like maybe when you were in graduate school or when you were a teacher, or I know that you spent some time in Spain, like the friends that you made, that you continue those friendships. And I feel like that's very been the case for me, right? Like, so this is, Anna's my friend from second grade. So that's kind of like your Laura, right? And then Kate is my best friend, and she's from high school era and beyond. And then I had undergrad friends and graduate student friends, and all friends at Mansfield University, friends here. And the thing is, there are a lot of people who have a group of friends, right? And they're all friends with each other, but that isn't necessarily the case for me, right? It's like, okay, well, this friend's going to come here and then this friend's going to come here, but they don't necessarily know each other, but they're here for me. That's sort of how my friends have been, that it's like been in each experience that I have these friends and continue those relationships. And I think that goes to show that in each stage of life, we're going to meet new people, right? That we're going to have new experiences and we're going to make new connections, but also those experiences end or transition or change. And therefore the friendships change, and it's up to us and whether or not we continue those friendships, right? Or how we're going to do that. And so I find that really interesting, but I also think that would contribute to this idea that age might not matter with friendship, because depending on your experience in life, you're going to meet different people. So when you're in second grade, you're not like, hey, sixth graders, what's happening? Hey, ninth graders, what's happening in high school? Oh, drugs, cool.
Oh, God. It's funny, though, because like, even in, it's funny, the second grade, sixth grade thing, because in the elementary school that I went to, it was always like, the fifth and sixth graders were like these tall, old souls, right? Like,
they got beards and stuff.
But they would like kind of really like nurture and take care of the younger grades. Yeah. So like in ways they were sort of friends.
Yeah,
like, so
friendly.
We thought of them as like, oh my gosh, like I'm friends with the cool sixth graders, But too, I think a part for me with friendship making has always been because I was heavily involved in sports growing up. So I was like a 3-sport year-round kind of person, different sports. And so it was like I had my soccer friends, I had volleyball friends, I had, swim team and dive team, which was, oh my gosh, we could literally do a whole episode about the dynamics of friendship within our swim team because it was so much fun.
I'm on board.
But anyway, it's just like that always made the whole making friends thing kind of organic because they're your teammates, and there's also typically mixed ages there. So I think that helps with that element. But then, you go to college or you go to grad school or you graduate from college and you're like, well, shoot, like, this is the first time. And actually, I remember this is something that we talked about in my grad school program when working with college students, is it's really important to help college students as they're transitioning, like as freshmen, because for many of them, this is actually the first time that many of them have ever had to actually make friends on their own.
Because it's like you're placed into play dates, right? You're friends with your neighbor. Like I always talk about, when we were growing up, it was like we had to be home by the time the streetlights were on and we couldn't go this far. So it's like, well, there's kids that live here and there's kids that live there. I guess that's who we're playing with. Or my mom was part of a babysitters co-op group. So it's like those were our friends. Or me and my brothers did swimming. We were swimmers too. I didn't do it in high school. I got angsty and then I was like, I'm not going to do it. But like... But one of the things is my brothers are 4 and 6 years older than me, and we were on teams together. So there you can see like the summer swim groups had varying ages and things like that. But I think that's an excellent point, that at a certain age, you are then forced to make friends unless you do something. Like I remember going to journalism camp during the summer where I didn't know anyone, and that was a little bit harder. But then it's like, you become friends because you're there for a week and you're in your features writing group. We're clearly nerds, but but you're in your feature writing group together. And so you have to peer review each other's work. And then it's like, oh, we're going to lunch. Are you going to lunch? And so there is still a level of organic friendship making. But I felt different going, well, when I went to college, I still lived in town. So I had still had all my friends. And I think that was something that maybe would have that did stop me from making more friends when I was in undergrad, because I transferred from Lansing Community College to Michigan State. And so I already had all my friends in Lansing. I'd never lived in a residence hall. My first experience was when I did leadership for Central Michigan University. I did that last year. You did it this year. Whoop, whoop. So it's like I had never lived in a residence hall. I lived off campus. And so I missed out on a lot of experiences that people do have where they do make friends, right? So for me, the first time actually going away and making friends was when I was 25. And that is when I went to Penn State. And that was the first time where I was away from home and everything like that. But then I walked in and I knew someone on the first day. So I was like, hey, I know you. Yeah. But I mean, that was still like finding your group, and, you know, graduate school can be competitive, or there's just a lot of people and everyone's smart, or they think they are, or whatever. True. And so it's like trying to find your way. And so I think that's a really good point. Like at a certain age, it's like, now I have to make friends. And are we actually ready to make friends because we've always just organically had it happen? And now it's like, do I have the skills to actually make a connection with you?
Well, and it gets harder too, I think, as we get older, at least for me, because I feel like I am much more in tune with who I am as a person and just picking up too on like subtle cues from people or whatever. And so, and also I feel like as I've gotten older, my introverted side has come out much more. And so I feel like that plays a role in how much, like, I can always turn it on. Many people when they meet me are like, what? There's no way you're an introvert. Like they all assume I'm extroverted because I can turn it on and like I fake it till I make it. And
I turn on my 27 like you turn on your extrovert.
Exactly. Exactly. So I can totally do that, but it is exhausting, you know? And you hit a point where if you're so exhausted, it definitely like no longer feels authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then I think it's interesting you say that, because I feel like I've always considered myself, or that people would label me as an extrovert. And the one thing I don't like, small talk is the worst. I just cannot stand it, because it's just like, oh, the weather, you know. And it's like, who cares? Yeah, it's hot. It's Michigan, or it's going to rain in 5 minutes and then it's going to hail. It's all going to happen in an hour in Michigan. Get over it, right? So I don't like that. But I can, like you say, turn it on. I can make connections with people. I feel like I can find something in common with most people, or at least try to ask them questions in which to show interest and that sort of thing as a way to make connection. But there is a level of me that's like, as I get older, I'm just like, I just want to stay home. And it seems exhausting to go out and make friends. And that could be something with age too, is that although I'm older than you, we both sort of have that feeling of that introverted coming out. But also, had I met you maybe 5 years ago and maybe that wasn't happening yet, I might still feel like, you want to go out when? 9:30. That sounds late.
That was like me though, 5-10 years ago too. It's funny because I feel like people have always told me that I have an old soul. In fact, someone told me that again this past weekend. Yeah. And I laugh, but I guess it's kind of true. Like literally even in like the taste of music that I am drawn to, or just different things like, so I often, when I think about it, I have a lot of friendships of people who are older than I am. I mean, I have all ages of friendships, I would say, but I've always had a good, easy time making friends with people that were older than me. I think that started though when I was in high school and I worked at the local Hallmark store in Mount Pleasant, which before it closed. That
was sad.
It was super sad. And so I grew up working there. And at the time, I mean, everybody primarily who worked there were college students or older. Yeah. And so I started out having friendships who were at least 5+ years older than me right out the gate. And that's kind of all I ever knew. Yeah. And so it's just always come kind of naturally to me. And then you just stay in touch with those people, and it is what it is. And then come on. I became a teacher in Mount Pleasant High School, was the first school that I taught at, which was amazing. But at the time there weren't a ton of like super young faculty fresh out of,
Yeah.
undergrad getting their start. And so
you would say that a lot of your teacher friends were older than you?
I would say probably almost all of them, because I don't think there was a single staff member that was my age. There was another person, maybe a couple people who started around the same time I did, but they were still several years older than me, 3 or 4 years at minimally.
So it almost seems like, given your experience, and so does that make you a townie? She's giving me a look. Oh,
begrudgingly. It's funny. I always have to I feel like I do. I don't know why, but I always feel like I have to give a disclaimer when I tell people that I'm from Mount Pleasant, and I'm still now in Mount Pleasant because I left. I'm like, I left though. I've lived abroad.
And I came back.
I've been to
willingly.
Chicago. I lived in Chicago. I lived in Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids. I came back. And I think that's fine. I love this community. I really do. And living here and working here now it's so perfect. It's the right time in life for me.
Yeah.
And I would have regretted not going to those other places.
Yeah.
And I value my family so much and those relationships. And so it's really nice being back here. But yeah, I would definitely say that I am in the townie club.
Well, you looked at me like it was a dirty word. I was like, oh, sorry.
It depends. I feel like that depends. For me, I'm I don't care. I'm a townie. Yes, I am. But for other people, it is they don't use it in a nice way.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that, I'm not living in the town that I grew up in, but I did come back to Michigan after living away and having these other experiences. But then I still came back, and I'm an hour away from my parents. So we do have a lot in common, right? We come back. We come back. Yeah, you throw it's like a boomerang. It comes back. But the old soul thing interests me. So would you say it's interest that you had? Do you think that you were influenced by family in terms of interest, the things that you like, or that you're to turn in early, if you will?
I don't know. Yeah, it could have been influenced by family or friends, at the time, as I had friends who were older than me and stuff. But, I feel like people are like, oh my God, she's an old lady.
Do you eat dinner at 4 or 4:30?
Heck no. I'm a 7 p.m.er for dinner.
Okay.
Or later. That's more of the Spain lifestyle.
Yeah, I was going to say European.
But no, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. It's always been who I am.
Yeah. Well, I say that because I've always loved doo-wop and oldies music. Yeah. And
I've always felt like I was born in the wrong decade.
Oh my God, I say that all the time. And then I say I was born in the wrong country because I feel like I should be in England.
Europe would be amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anywhere in Europe. Just slap me over there.
And what, you go back to Spain?
Oh, gosh, yes. After living there for a summer, I told my family all when I came back that if I could get them to relocate with me over there, I would literally drop everything and live there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's just perfect for you, right?
I just loved it. I love the culture. I loved the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Just everything was really awesome.
It's great. I've never lived abroad. That was something, you brought up before, the bucket list, you're 30 before 30, and that was something that I had on my bucket list that I created when I was 30. So I actually created a bucket list when I was 30, but then I'll have to go through and see what I actually did on it. But I got more done on my bucket list before 40. But yeah, I was definitely inspired by you to do that. And Piper, who is now sleeping, she's no longer being tortured, the pup. It was one thing that was on your bucket list, right? Was to have a pup.
Yep.
And then I know we both got tattoos. That was on our bucket list.
Yeah, I got my first tattoo, which was actually designed by a friend and colleague at CMU.
Nice.
Yeah, she is amazing. Jessie Ekinen.
Hey.
On Instagram. # just follow your art. She's seriously amazing.
Cool.
She paints and does stickers and all these things. She's just so talented. But anyway, I asked her.
I'll put her Instagram in show notes too so that people can find her.
Yeah, that would be super cool. But anyway, so she designed my tattoo, which to me, that made it even more special because it was someone I knew. And it was funny too, in that case, when I asked her, she had said that designing a tattoo for someone was on her bucket list.
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
I was like, what?
You're like double duty.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So yeah, there are still some things that I didn't get a chance to do, but I had started my bucket list just a few months before I turned 40. So it was to go to Paris and Prague. Done. You did it.
That's, amazing.
I have at least 20 episodes of the podcast. By the time I turned 40, I think I had 32.
Yeah.
So did that. And then the tattoo. And then I wanted to see Fiona the Hippo. I haven't seen her yet, though. I'm going, though. She's my homegirl.
I already started making a 40 before 40 bucket list. Yeah.
What do you got on there?
I'll give you a few because I won't give you the whole.
You're like, I don't want.
I'm up to 19 so far.
Wow.
But I mean, I have like.
Yeah, some time.
I have 9 years, so I had to make some of them bigger too. So I want to go see a concert at Red Rocks.
Ooh,
it's amazing.
Awesome,
yeah, I've been there, but I've never actually watched a concert, and I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I want to ride an elephant. I want to visit a country that I've never been to, and I wrote on there that France can't count because I also put that I wanted to go to Paris.
Oh, gotcha.
Because my family history is French, so
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I really want to go there. So it has to be something other than France because it's kind of already on another one.
Yeah,
I want. You might appreciate this, but I want to dine at I wrote LVP's restaurants in California, which is Lisa Vanderpump.
Yeah.
For my Bravo fans who are listening, I would die to eat at any of her restaurants.
Nice.
I want to do that. I also want, this is like really small, and some people would be like, really? Why? Some people have actually said, why is that on your bucket list? But I want to build a snowman.
You've never built
I think I have built a snowman like when I was little, but I don't have any distinct memory of like doing it all by myself or like if I have, I'm sure I've done it because I do remember doing it with my siblings when I was really little, but I mean, it's been 20 plus years, and I just think how fun that would be. Yeah. I don't know, like the little simple joys, like to just build a snowman.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing is I think with bucket lists, they don't have to be anything. It can be something smaller. It can be something major. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's like, it can be anything. And so if other people are like, why is that on your list? Well, it's what you want to do. And I do think bucket lists are important to considering age because I think that's something that we consider is that as life goes on and we're continuing in life and we meet new people, we have connections and we think about the things that we want to do, we haven't been able to do yet, that we still want to do. Like it's always thinking about what is going to be next or what we're going to do or what we can accomplish and setting goals and that sort of thing. And I think friends are the ones that can help us do that because I created that bucket list when I was 30 and I didn't do it. And then when I saw you doing it, I was like, yes, that is something I want to do. And one of the things that I would say is that I created the bucket list instead of New Year's resolutions. And so I only had a few months before I turned 40. And now I have a new list of things to do when I'm 40. Like one of them is I've never seen a professional football game. And I love the Lions, even though it's horrible.
I do too.
See? Friends. And looking at each other across the best couch in the world. Ashleigh has the best couch.
It's true.
We're about to make football plans, aren't we?
Seriously, because I also have never been to a professional football game and also have it on my list.
What?
And I might know someone who is working at the Lions, so maybe we can get a little hookup.
I like how this episode just becomes Ashleigh and Alysa make plans and everyone else listens. But I think that's exactly the point is that, so like going into the idea of like, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being friends with someone who's a different age than you? One of the things I would say is an advantage. And one of the things that I've seen with you and being friends with you is like, even though you talk about being introverted or that side coming out more, I also feel like you initiate a lot. Right. And so that might not be something that older friends might do, but it's like, oh, do you want to go to this game? Or, oh, PotterCon is coming. Who wants to go to that? Or one thing we haven't talked about yet, but is like Food Truck Friday. Like, hey. So it's like one of those things that maybe as I get older, I'm like, I'm just going to stay home with my cats. And then having younger friends, it could be like, did you know that PotterCon's coming out? I'm like, what do you follow on Facebook to know what a PotterCon is and how to get to such a thing? And it was a great time. And Sarah got sorted into the hat and everything. But you know what I mean? That's one, I think, an advantage. There's a level of, there's still a sense of, I don't want to say excitement for life, but you know what I mean? Like the idea with your bucket list and these sorts of things. Like, I feel like sometimes I am too indoorsy and that I sit around and I'm like, well, I guess I was talking to Ashleigh beforehand. I was like, have you seen Queer Eye yet? I was rewatching it, you know, like, oh, let's just stay in and I'll rewatch it. And Queer Eye is fantastic and everyone needs to watch it. But there is this idea of like, there's other things that I can do with life too. And I think that's something that you've helped me recognize in the time that I've known you is like, no, there are things that I want to do and I can do them. It doesn't matter if how old I am or who I am or where I am, that I can make these things happen. And that very much so that friends might be the people that help you do it. They're the ones who inspire you. They're the ones who help you do it. And look at this. We're both going to cross a bucket list item off by going to the Lions game.
I love it.
So,
yep. And I feel like, I mean, it comes and goes. Like, I certainly stay in all the time because that's also my MO.
Yeah.
But I also, when I do want to do things, I want to do it with people that I care about and that I'm friends with. I'm not the type to, actually, something that was on my 30 before 30 bucket list, which people thought was really bizarre, was going to a movie by myself because I like to do things with other people, with my friends. So, like, the idea of going to the theater and watching a movie by myself, I was like, it was almost like I'd never thought of that before. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I could do that. Like, people do that. And, like, tons of people do that.
I do it all the time.
I know. Like, seriously.
I just got my movie pass today, and I was like, I guess I'm going to go see Tag tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
So
like,
I was like, let's go.
People do it all the time. And for me, it was this huge, like, bucket list thing because I was like, I've never done it before. Let me see what this is like, you know? And so that's why I initiate things because I'd rather do them with people I care about.
Yeah.
And I think, too, like, good friends bring out the best in you, so they make you want to do those things and hang out and spend time together, and you know that they're good friends when you can be your authentic self and they just accept that. So like you and I and even Crystal and Sarah, like, we could all literally be sitting on this amazing couch.
It is an amazing
doing
couch.
like nothing, like eating Taco Bell, and
we've done that before.
Watching God knows what on TV or
and
a
Practical
movie.
Jokers.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it was one thing that we watched together,
and just, you know, it's great. Like we're barely even talking, but it's just, it works, you know.
And there's no judgment for eating the Taco Bell. Hey.
True story. Alysa and Sarah are the reason that I ate Taco Bell for the first time in like 5 years.
I don't know if we want to like really build that up too much.
And I lived.
Old people have bad habits.
I lived to tell the story. I was really nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous about my digestive system.
Were you like, oh God, I'm gonna be in the bathroom all night? Let yourselves out. I'm just going to be in here for the rest of the night.
It worked out. We'll just say it was fine.
Well, you know, that's the thing is, so like that's the advantage is that younger friends initiate things and older friends show you their bad habits. So. Can you think of any other, what are some of the benefits that you've experienced from having friends that, whether they're younger or older?
I just think you have diverse perspectives. You know, there's so much to learn from people, no matter who they are, how old they are. You know, everybody walks such different and lives such different lives, and everybody comes from such different walks of life. I always have really enjoyed getting to know people. I mean, that's a huge part of why I love to travel so much and just experience the world. And so I think that a benefit to having friends who are not the same age as you is you get to learn about their experiences. And I don't know, I just really like that.
And that's, you know, I agree. I think that even though I'm 10 years older than you, doesn't mean I have the same experiences. So it's not saying that because I'm older that you are going to listen to everything I say because I have the best advice ever. Or I have all these experiences. But it's like, you've lived abroad. And so it's like, if that's something I'd want to do, I want to talk to you, right? Or I want to talk to someone else has had that experience. Or, you know, like, how do you get season tickets? How do you do that? You know, like, you just have different experiences, and I do too. And so people who are older or younger, we can always learn from each other. But that doesn't change the fact that you also have friends who are the same age as you. Is that correct?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of friends who are the same age.
Same age. And that maybe just the old soul, Ashleigh, started early in high school getting the cool, second grade, having the sixth graders look out for you. Hey. And maybe that's the thing, is that we should look out for each other, right? Like, it can't be a bucket list item because it has to be something that I can check off, but maybe it's something that I can consider for the future. But maybe it's a hope or a dream, is I'm always thinking about ways that we can lift each other up, and that, you know, everyone can have a piece of the pie. Everyone can be happy, healthy, and safe. Like, it's not a competition, and that we can help each other out. And what would be great is if we did look out for each other. So, for example, in the workplace, maybe there is a colleague who's younger than me. What can I do in which to reach out to them? Or, as you were talking about before, knowing that first year students are having perhaps a new experience, or it could be a difficult time, it could be an exciting time, it could be a nerve-wracking time. What can I do to help those students through? And the thing is, those students teach me stuff all of the time, right? Like, they teach me the lingo. They teach me, although I still feel like I'm kind of cool, so I know some of that stuff anyway. But hair flip. But like, there's things that we can always retweet, hashtag a retweet. Well, and the thing is, like, as you said, everyone comes from such different walks of life, and just assuming that someone who is older isn't going to know what it's like to be younger, or a younger person, like an older person's like, wow, they won't know what it's like to be like me. Does anyone know what it's like to be anyone unless you truly connect with those people, right?
Exactly. I hate, I try really hard not to like pigeonhole people into a box, because I just feel like that's really unfair.
Yeah.
And especially if you've ever had that done to you before, you're like, no, you don't want to do that. So that's why age has never really bothered me. I always joke, like, the cliche, right? Age ain't nothing but a number. But it's so true. Like, truly, you know, I mean, does it matter?
I think there's sometimes where it might, like, you know, from a parental point of view, in terms when you're a minor, or, you know, something like that. Of course. But, and I think that sometimes society, there are stereotypes, you know, like, if there's an older man and a younger woman, like, there's going to be something there, or an older woman and a younger man. And it's like, it doesn't, and it's already like an automatic, like, that must be romantic. Or I know that there are some people, if they're, for example, both women and one's older and one's younger, that it could be like, is this your daughter? So
eye roll.
Yeah, exactly. Side eye. So it's one of those things, like, we just have stereotypes, and there's certain expectations that we have, and certain judgments that we make. And sometimes people are judgmental, but sometimes we just do those things because it's quick and easy, and we can't know everything about everyone, and we only have so much time. And so we make those thoughts or judgments. But it's like just being a little bit more open to what people are going through and the experiences people are having. And one of my favorite stories, I probably mentioned this before, but one of my favorite stories is the high school student who's been playing Word with Friends with someone, I think she's 82, 83, something, for like over a year. And then they finally met in person. And I was like, oh, what a heartwarming friendship story. You know, most people would assume that a high school student wouldn't want anything to do with this person, and vice versa. And they're just very different people from very different times of life, and so on and so forth. But I just thought it was such a great...
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories. And it's been in like the last year, I want to say, that came forward. I think as soon as I saw it, I started Words with Friends. Again, because I was like, I want to make friends with people. So I believe on Best Forever's pod on Words with Friends if you want to come find me. But I think like the moral of the story here is that different realms of life bring new people, and that we can learn so much from so many different people, and we can be inspired by so many different people, and that age doesn't have to be a barrier. And that sometimes it might be a consideration, but at a certain point in your life, it's just not going to matter anymore. It's kind of like what I tell students, and What do people say? Don't at me. But it's kind of like when you say to students who really care about grades, and it's like, after you graduate, your grades are going to matter. You have a degree. Right. It's kind of like the same thing, right? That at a certain point, the age isn't going to matter. It's going to be that you are making connections with people. It's going to matter that you have the degree. It's not those very specific things are not going to matter. So I received a letter from a listener, and so about age and friendship. So I wanted to share it with Ashleigh, see what you think. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it. Okay. Cool. So what we have here is the listener is 41, female, and hi, Courtney. Their name is Courtney, and this is what they said. Courtney says, my biggest concerns with being friends with someone the same age, right? So we've been talking because you're younger than me, and then B and I talk because she's older, but this is a great conversation about people of the same age, okay? So Courtney says, my biggest concerns with being friends with someone the same age is comparison. Who finished their master's first? Who got married first? Who had their kid first? What I like are what we share in common, particularly when we become friends, and the links we have because of those experiences. For example, college. That shared experience makes all the... I don't know what GS stands for. I think BS, but I know
that's what we thought.
Yeah, that shared experience makes all the BS about college, even decades later, an important link. Well, it wouldn't be BS. The shared experience makes all
the BS about college.
Nonetheless, they're connected because of college. But I think Courtney's point is this. And Courtney, if I'm wrong, you can write back in because maybe I'm missing a word or I'm not on the up and up of an acronym because I'm old. But Courtney are a similar age, so maybe I should know what the acronym is. Or maybe it's BS, as Ashleigh said. So listen to the smart ones, folks. Okay.
Oh, stop.
But I think the point is that a concern about being similar age is then that you're always like...
It's more competitive.
It's more competitive. Whereas someone who's older, you might expect that they have experiences already, like that they might already be married, or someone who's younger who's in college is having an experiences that you had. And maybe you're like, oh, I envy you. I wish I could go back to what it was like in college. Or I envy you because I can't wait to have a family. And so I think the comparison idea is that it is about envy, is that is what social comparison is. And I think that can come into play. That can be difficult. And I think that goes back to what I was saying, is that everyone can be happy, healthy, and safe. And it's about supporting each other and lifting each other up rather than, tearing people down. But I do have a student, she just graduated, so she is an alum. Her name is Meredith.
Hey, and I love Meredith.
Yeah.
I know this Meredith. Hi, Meredith. Hearts to you.
Hearts to Meredith. She was episode 12, Heart Cry, with her best friend Carly, and it's an amazing episode. You need to go back and listen to that. That was the first time I cried on the podcast. It might be the only time I cried on the podcast.
Carly and Meredith make me cry on the regular. Let's be honest.
I think Sarah describes Meredith as a walking warm hug.
Yes. She just touches your soul.
Yeah, just gets right in there. But one of the things that she got me as a thank you for being her teacher over the several years that she was at Central, it says, comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh my gosh. I was literally going to say that. Like, literally this whole time I'm sitting here, like, waiting to respond. Because when you were reading the letter, that was literally the first phrase that came to my mind, is that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And now I feel cool because Meredith got you that mug, and that was what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I think it's true but I also think that we all have this experience at some time or another that is perfectly normal in which to compare ourselves. I think that, and especially it's increased when you think about social media and Instagram and all getting likes and all that kind of stuff. And so, a lot of times they say if you're starting to feel bad about yourself because you're, it's like get off social media, but also remember that people mainly post positive stuff on social media, not necessarily their day-to-day life, which at the same time, people don't need to know how much money I owe in student loans. I'm not posting that crap on social media. So yeah, here's a picture of Rooney, my cat.
You might get a lot of love on that because I feel like a lot of us can relate.
And my GoFundMe is... I always had this dream. When I talked with Bea, I said my retirement plan was the lottery, but my dream for student loans is always like, if a really big celebrity gave me like 0.0001 of what they made on their last thing, it would probably cover all my student loans.
Serious.
So which celebrity out there? David Beckham. I'm a fan of you. Always have been, always
Literally
will be.
anyone. I would take like a Z-list celebrity.
No joke, right? So I got my lottery and my celebrity plans in life. But I think that it is completely normal to have that experience. It's just when it starts to impact us negatively, and it's hard to function, whether in life individually or in those friendships. I can imagine that in comparison, it can make it really difficult in those friendships. Like, how do you manage the negative feelings? Or what if everyone celebrates this person's thing, but they don't celebrate you back when you go through that experience? And so it is really being thoughtful about that everyone is on their own path, and that everyone's journey is different, and that we could all use people walking in front of us, besides us, and behind us, and being those cheerleaders. And I think that is a concern. I think Courtney brings up a really good point. Do you think, as just sort of a summary, that it is normal, but it's like what we do with it. And one of the things that we can do with social comparison is let it be motivation, not revenge, or not spite, or not I got them, or tit for tat, or that sort of thing. But it can be motivation, because it could be, I wish I was as healthy as this friend. Well, then if I find myself in Planet Fitness tomorrow, instead of just donating $10 a month to them, then that can be something.
Guilty.
It's the number one charity I donate to. Every month, like clockwork, they just take it out of my checking account. Like, what? So thank you, Courtney, for writing in. And if anyone has any thoughts about age and friendship, or even envy, I do have surveys about both those topics online that you can fill out. So Ashleigh, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I feel like we not only reconfirmed why we're friends, but also I feel like I learned some new things today, and I can't wait for us to go see the Detroit Lions.
Seriously, I'm so excited. But no, thank you for letting me come on the podcast. I mean, obviously, I've been an avid listener.
She has been, and I appreciate it.
So I am just thrilled to actually get to be on here. This is so cool. You make me feel like kind of famous, even though I'm not at all. But it's fine.
You'll be on all the social media outlets, so you'll be podcasts famous.
Oh my gosh. I just am so excited about it. But no, friendship is everything.
It is true. Hashtag retweet.
Yes.
So I'm so glad I get to chat with Ashleigh. Like I said, I feel like there's a lot of reasons why we're friends, in that the age difference doesn't matter at all, and that really we truly have to think about people as individuals and get beyond these different barriers that can keep us from being friends, because making friends is already hard. And we all have our own stuff. We're all weird in some way. And so we just need to make those connections with people who accept us for who we are. And we'll sit on an amazing couch and eat Taco Bell with you while you watch ridiculous television. And you know, that's what we need. And sometimes there's just things that we're like, well, I'm not going to be friends with them because of this, or I don't know if, they don't get me. Well, maybe they do. Maybe they might inspire you. Maybe they'll encourage you. Maybe they'll be the cheerleader along the way, the person that will be there to celebrate you. So, and I also am really glad that Courtney wrote in, because I think she makes a really great point about same age friendships, and that I think comparison can happen anytime, but when everyone is sort of at the same starting line, and then they're all running the race, but everyone's finish line is different, but it can feel like we need to get to the same finish line as other people and before they do it, but it might not be what actually makes us happy. And so we do need to focus on our journeys, and as friends, support those journeys and help people through their journey, and know that their finish line is going to be different than everyone else's. So if you like what you have in your ear holes, there's a few things you can do. First, I'd love to have you follow Best Forevers on social media. You can find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Best Forevers Pod, and I'm Dr. Alysa Lucas on Twitter. Social media is a great way to follow the podcast for updates and to get involved with discussion and other items related to friendship. I look forward to us connecting, no matter your age. Second, I'm all about loving on friendships and hearing your stories. You can share your stories by checking out bestforeverspod.com/surveys or by emailing me at bestforeverspod@gmail.com. I'm working on episodes related to pet as our friends, rejection and being left out, as well as having Sarah and Kelly from Bad Feminist Film Club back on the show to hear your stories of friendships rooted in movies. Remember, I'm not nosy. I just love to geek out on friendship, and I think it's important to everyone to hear more stories of friendship. So please send your stories my way. Third, if you care about friendship like I do and want to support Best Forevers, you might consider supporting the movement to love on our friends more on patreon.com/bestforeverspod. There's lots of cool perks and different goals I'm trying to reach, so you can check it out. I would love to call you friends with benefits. Finally, thank you for listening to Best Forevers. I appreciate every single listen and like, follow, post, and retweet. So please subscribe, rate, and review Best Forevers. It's very helpful to the podcast, and it warms my heart every single time I see someone do that. And of course, it's a podcast about friendship. So if you have any friends out there you think would like the podcast, be sure to share it with them. This episode is focused on chatting with my dear friend, Ashleigh. So as a shout out to her, promos this week are to my cooler and younger podcast friends. Ashleigh likes to travel, so be sure to check out my podcast, homies Georgie and Kate on Nothing Rhymes with Murder. Their true crime show takes the cases to the air by quote-unquote flying to other countries and learning more about murder cases happening in other places of the world. Pop a Prosecco and have a blast with these ladies. They're fun, but they also shed light on cases that most of us Americans have never heard of. And these cool chicks have been on Best Forevers too. Their episode is called Soul Sisters. And Nothing Rhymes with Murder is celebrating their birthday 1 year. Woot woot! Holla. So what that means for all of you is that your ear holes have a whole lot to binge. So get in there, have a listen, and subscribe, rate, and review. And be open, friends, because you never know if your dearest friends may be cooler and younger or older and wiser. When making friends can be so hard, be sure age doesn't block your path, because without our friends, who would we be?
Hello.
Hi.
This is Georgie and Kate from Nothing Rhymes with Murder. Join us on a global journey of murder.
Yes, every week we go to a new country and find a true crime gem, as well as some fun hotspots to visit.
So remember, kids, life is a journey.
Don't let murder stop you.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye then. Bye.
Bye.